Hi, Dr. Adelia Krebs here. Today I'm answering the question if Alzheimer's is genetic or hereditary. The short answer is there are genetic aspects. There are definitely big genetic factors that play a part in your risk in getting Alzheimer's. One of the biggest genes that's known and well studied is called ApoE, and it has a number of different variations, with ApoE4 being the one that puts you most at risk for Alzheimer's. Other than that, there are a few genes that are associated with early onset Alzheimer's, like at a young age, and those ones are amyloid precursor protein, APP, as well as PSEN1 and PSEN2. Most of the genes associated with Alzheimer's, though, are what we call functional genes, in that we can actually modify the expression of them. It turns out that ApoE is one of those genes as well, where we can greatly stack the odds in your favor, even if you have the worst variations of that gene. So a couple of other factors genetically that can increase your risk. But again, we can change the expression of these genes, particularly if we know about them early enough. So some of them relate to inflammation. So methylation more specifically. One of them is MTHFR, and a lot of people are familiar with that gene. People with certain MTHFR variations aren't as good at quenching inflammation, and that can be a big factor in neural inflammation and brain inflammation. And then also genetic variations in IL-6. So that one really mediates inflammation specifically. That can play a part. And then some of our detox genes. So certain environmental factors, like certain exposures to heavy metals or other toxins in the environment, can increase the chances of someone getting Alzheimer's or progressing to Alzheimer's. So genes that affect detox, like GST-M1 and GST-P1, can be a factor as well. There are a number of other genes, so some of them actually work in conjunction with ApoE, where if you have certain variations with the ApoE suboptimal variations, it compounds the effects. So some of those are ApoC1, if there's an insertion there, along with a suboptimal variation of ApoE. That is a genetic factor. The TOM40, TOMM40 is a genetic variation associated, as is TNF alpha and BCHE, which modulates acetylcholine. In essence, there are quite a few potential genetic factors, and only a few that have actually been well studied. But we have a lot of power to modify the expressions of these genes, particularly if we know about them early on.